Hey, what's up everyone? Gene Fetty back here for Keco Body Repair Products with another one of our live Friday afternoon lunchtime streams to talk to you about GPR and how easy and simple it really is. Today, I'm going to be showing you all about our knockdowns, and we had some questions come in specifically on knocking down after a crease or a pull and what that looks like. Dustin, thanks for checking in. So let me flip the camera around. And I've got a nice selection of our knockdown tools laying out. Brock, welcome to the show. So, sort of working left to right here, talking about our knockdowns. We have got our slappers, red and blue. So the blue is pretty rigid, great for harder crowns or working into a door jamb or something where you've got a 90-degree edge. The red is nice and flexible. This really conforms well to large crowns, to radiused panels. From there, hey Rick, how are you? We've moved into our body hammer. Now normally it comes with this plastic tip. This is my hammer. I've got it switched over to a rubber ball. I just personally like the strike a little bit better. It's got a really nice feel to it. From there we move into our JVF hammer. Just 100 grams is all it weighs. It's got an aluminum core in the middle. You can kind of see there. And it comes with a polished metal face right there. Great for medium knockdowns. And I'm even going to show you how well this works on a pulled high spot with a crease. Into our PDR style knockdowns. So we also have a red fire. This is the ice, and we have a root beer. The red is the softest. The ice falls right in the middle. And we have a polished 4mm steel knockdown for some really precision work. Hey Jimmy, how are you? Last but certainly not least is our Black Swan. So this little tool right here takes the learning curve of using a PDR style knockdown and makes it disappear. It just simply goes away. Today, we're going to be talking about knocking down some smaller, tighter highs. These we're going to put away for the day. So the slappers and the body hammer, a little bit more hardcore than we can do. When we get into big repairs, this is where we go to for knocking down those big crowns. So let me get this out of the way and show you guys what we're going to be working on here today. So the one question that came in specifically is where I'm going to start. Let me get this thing turned around. And that is dealing with a crease that you've pulled up and put a nice high spot in. So right here is what we're working on. And moving the light back and forth, you can see it jumping up there. Hey Whiston, from Cape Town again, glad to have you back. So that high spot, if you go back just a couple of episodes ago and watch our Lighting 101, you'll see just how easy it is to read the damage and what we're seeing right here. So we know exactly where the top of that crown is, where the top of the high spot is. So let me grab the tripod and bring it over here and get you in close. I'm going to try to work right around it and really give you an up close, over the shoulder look. Get you locked in. Let's get this thing panned down. And let me drop it down a hair more. I'm trying to give you the best in-person experience I can get. It's great when I can pull you over or pull you out of the crowd or pull you out of the class and show you. In these challenging times, however, we are doing our best. Let me drop this light down a hair. There we go. So we're going to work right here. Hey Craig, how are you? See that shadow line? That is what is telling us and showing us exactly where our high spot is. So it's dark on this side and bright on this side. The top of that is where we want to knock down. So first and foremost, and the easiest thing we have is our Black Swan. So it's going to be off camera here. Basically the way it works, our regular kidney-shaped foot, is where your hand goes. Then you've got nice, easy control, and most importantly, a great line of sight all around the knockdown. On here, I've got our plastic cherry R4 cap. Hey, Roger, thanks for coming in from Kentucky. So you can see, let me get to a little higher spot. If I come down right there, there's no question that I am right on top of that transition. And the knockdown really is this simple. So I'm using our paddle knockdown. And you come in, watch it touch, and just begin tapping. So as you're learning, I like to teach this. So get it on, make a hit, pick it up and look and see if you made any changes. If you didn't, put it right back and just hit a little bit harder. Started to move down. Make sure you're on and tap. So just like that is how it works. As you become more and more confident, you can really move kind of quickly. So more like, and I'm just really walking right down that high spot. I'm moving back a little bit. I'm just working this little 1-inch section for you with this to show you how it works. See how much control there is. And honestly, I am reaching around the camera, so I'm not even in a comfortable position, and this tool still makes it so easy to knock down. You can already see that we're erasing that high spot all through there. Hey Vasquez, welcome from California. What's up, Dent Jockeys? So you can see just in those couple little knockdowns, this section right here, we're already moving it down. Black Swan, nice and easy, great line of sight. You can watch it touch, you can pick it up and check. Let me show you, Greg, very underrated. It really, hi Ryan, it really is nuts how well it works. In fact, let me put this here so you can see side by side what I'm talking about. So right there is on the high spot. If I come in with a regular, one of our ice knockdowns, so a regular PDR style knockdown, inevitably when I hand somebody this knockdown the first time, they grab it like this and they come in, and you see right there, I already can't see where my tip's going to go, and I say, hey, you've got to move your fingers. So then they move their fingers and they're holding it like this, so it's out of the way, and they come in and then they can watch it hit. But because you don't do it every day, hi, man, I don't want to mess up your name, Mr. Slamon. Come in right here, and they're inevitably off a little bit. And when you strike that and you're off, see how that skips away? And if you get really bad, or if I go to a finer knockdown, if you're not straight up and down, let me come back here, you end up leaving little scuffs. And then you get mad and you're fighting it, and now these scuffs are in your way and you can't see. This makes all of that go away. However, if you're more comfortable with a regular knockdown, it's exactly the same thing. So I'm going to hold it, I'm going to watch it come down, and begin tapping and walking right down that high spot. Just like so. Moving right on through. So there's our Black Swan. That's a pretty sharp tip. We also have, really this whole series comes with, let me get you different. So we've got a couple different tip diameters, really, you know, sharp, medium, and pretty blunt. They all do the same thing. It just depends how far you want to concentrate that strike down. So as I come here on the left, right here, I'm going to go with the fattest one. It'll do the exact same thing. It'll just move a little bit more metal at a time, like so. Pretty flat. That's actually, hi Mike Peters, that's actually the knockdown I would like for this kind of damage. That would be the one I would go to right out of the gate. But we're trying to show you a little bit of everything today. To the next, or more onto the precision side of things, we have our 4mm polished knockdown. Now, I don't have a camera-worthy aluminum panel here in the shop, so I'm going with steel, and you can see I'm getting the camera light to sort of flash off of there. Mirror polished. On aluminum, this definitely is the knockdown I would go with. It's the hardest hitting knockdown we have. It's going to concentrate and drive in the tightest spot. So I'm not going to have to hit this very hard at all to go here. When you get into the polished tip, and the newer Black Swans actually come with that same polished tip as the screw-in end, you do not want to skip. So over here, it just made a little bit of a transfer. If you skip with this, I'm going to go on the angle really to drive it home. I throw that on the ground. That will actually scratch and destroy the paint. So if we come in, you know, on an angle like that, and you start missing like this, you're not just causing a little bit of transfer here. That is actually scratching the clear coat. Make sure you come in straight up and down, or better yet, use the Black Swan to get there. Now this, it's exactly the same impact. Straight up and down, but a nice light tap. It takes almost no effort at all to start driving that metal down. Again, on aluminum, this would be my knockdown of choice to really clean that up. You can see that even that tight metal face is not causing any paint damage. So let me bring you in close and show you where we've done. Just to pan the right way would be okay. The only paint damage we have are my intentional scuffs. That mirror polish protects the paint just like all of our tools are made to. Spin around here. So we've sort of walked across this big long high spot and we're left with this. Now I told you when we were starting that the JVF hammer, right there, this polished face, great for larger crowns. If you put the plastic cover on it, it's got a real nice soft blow. This actually works really well for these longer high spots too. I'm going to come in, because this face is radiused real nice this way and this way. It's got a very forgiving strike when it comes down to it. We're going to work right across here, and it's not going to be, I'm not driving it down like I'm beating it in. We're going to almost let it bounce a little bit and just come right across. So it actually takes the metal down very quickly, very cleanly, even being a bigger face. So I can tell you right there, that little bit of a, as we look to the left here, I'll go ahead and clean it up with this. If you're in a body shop working, I can tell you for sure in person, I don't know how well it's coming across on the camera, that is definitely deblockable. As you sanded that down, that is completely gone. So that is how we work down that long crease from the crease killer. Now, I made one more high spot back here for us, right here. The paint damage is actually from the impact of the crease, and I used one of our dead center crease tabs to pull this up. For time's sake today, I did all of our pulls ahead of time. So I used this tab, went right on my crease, used our crease killer feet and pulled it. Over pulled it a little bit high for you to show you how we can take that down. Easiest, simplest way, we come right back in with our Black Swan and follow that same process. Because we've got the light set up and we've got that nice dark to light transition, it draws the line for us that tells us exactly where to smack, and that's it. I know if you go back to our first live stream we did, I went a little bit in depth on the whiteboard with exactly why it's so important. Hi, John Panic. why it's so important to be able to see and read everything exactly. So as we're coming through here, nice and controlled, even keeping my hands around the camera, it's easy to knock down. On these, I don't have them at my disposal, you can switch this head out. We've also got a whole series of root beer tabs that go on here. This is an older one. The new one actually has that same 4mm polished tip right here. So I think you end up, when you buy this, it ends up being 5 or 6 knockdowns in one. You saw how that was moving down sort of like nice and slow. Hey, Orel from Calgary. Going to the other end of the spectrum with our steel knockdown. If this were aluminum, hey, Don Dorsey. If this were aluminum, this is definitely the knockdown I would use. And just nice controlled strikes, making sure that we are right on there. Now what happens if we don't have the light or we start missing? So you can see that I can hit this pretty hard, right? You can see the vibration coming through the panel. If I come off of that high spot and out in here to that flat metal and I make that same impact, see how easily that dents right there? With that same impact up on top, you can actually get really pretty aggressive and not create low spots. Even with this sharp 4mm knockdown, we're coming in. But as soon as you miss and you start getting out here in the flat panel, it starts denting. Dave Brinkley, how are you? Don't miss. Use your light to get there. Again, that's probably already blockable. If I wanted to flatten it out just a hair, again, we come right back in. Definitely happy Friday, Dave. We come right back in with that JVF face and come right across it. You can also get fairly aggressive with this because it is so forgiving and it's spreading the hammer blow out. So that is exactly how we knock creases down. Switching to that 4mm is how we would deal with knocking down on aluminum. As we get into some smaller dents, we'll go to this one on the left here. As we go to the smaller dent here, Jordan, everything is available right at kecotabs.com. The links are up in the description. All of these tools are Keco tools, and they're available and easy to use. So this here was like call it a hail dent, a nice dime-sized dent. I came in with an 11mm tab and one pull, and I left that slight little high spot. Personally, it's how I like to finish things out. Hey, Jack, how are you? I'll see you this afternoon, buddy. To finish these out, and again, we're talking more body shop repair here to get this to blockable. So dime-size hail dent, one pull, a little high spot. I'll go right to my black swan, come in, using that light to hit that exact light to dark transition so I know right where the top, sorry, I had a phone call there, right to where that is, and begin knocking it down a little bit. Great line of sight all around the tip. That's part of what makes this so great, as well as the control of being able to hold my hand on there and work through it. Just like so. It really is that simple. Eric, thanks for coming. Appreciate you being here. And we will finish off the knockdowns. We've got one more. Have to bring the light in a little bit closer for you, I think. This was a nice 50-cent piece size dent. Again, I think we went with a 20mm, one pull, left it up. When you get into a bigger high spot like this, a little PDR trick we've learned is if you go with the sharper steel knockdown, it will let you knock this big high spot down and minimize driving the metal back in around it. So you want to come in with a nice light strike. Again, same thing, I've got my light set up, so we've got that bright to dark transition. That tells me right where the top of the high spot is. And I can come in, and these are, I'm almost just letting the the slapper, just come down and touch this. Very, very light controlled taps. And I'm working right around the top of that high spot. Hey, Mark Tucker. Just like so, very controlled. So you can see that it's bringing it down very even and we're not driving the dent in. Before I learned that technique, I would have been more inclined to come in with a more blunt or possibly even something like the Black Swan, because I was thinking, oh, a big soft high spot and I want to knock it down. Comparatively, watch what this does when I get a little bit more aggressive. So I'm still knocking it down. I'm not denting the high spot, but what's happening is the low, and it might be a little hard to see. Let's see if I can get this exposure to drop down a little bit. It's actually starting to drive the whole dent back in. So that's the little paintless tip or trick, is on these bigger high spots, go with a sharper knockdown, like the 4mm polished, and a really light tap, and just gently work it down so you're not driving all of the metal down. Any questions on knockdowns, guys? We've got over 200 people in here watching live, and I'm happy to answer any and all your questions about this. While we're doing that, I've got things set up to really drive home just how easy the process is. I'm going to show you guys how fast you can fix like a hail dent for you body guys to blockable. So let's get a nice hail dent right there. Right here's where we're working. Just a nice little, I don't know, nickel or quarter size dent. This is your call for questions, guys. We're going to clean it off with a little bit of our 99% alcohol and try to not knock the horse over. Got that ready? I just want to make sure we get rid of our humidity. It's a rainy day here. Get rid of all that humidity stuck in the panel. What's up, Joe Stonish? And then I'm going to come in with just a nice little 11mm dead center. I've got the Cam Auto glue fired up today, so that's what we'll pull with. There's another tech tip for you. See how I swirled that away and it broke the string off? It saves a lot of cleanup. Making sure I place that right in the center of the dent. Again, that's why that light is so important. Jordan asked, is there a difference between nylon and metal knockdowns, or is it just a personal preference? There is actually a pretty big difference between the two. So let me pull this real quick because it's already set up and dry, and then we'll talk about that difference. So what I've got here is I'm pulling up nice and easy. Might have pulled a hair soon. We got a little bit of texture in the middle that tells me it might have been a touch warm. So there's where our dent was. That is blockable for sure, but just to show how well it pulls, and we're talking about knockdowns today, I'll go back in and give it one more quick pull. We'll let it set up another second, and I'll explain the difference between the nylon or the plastic and the steel. So one difference. So this is a pretty sharp plastic knockdown here. You can see that it is actually smaller, significantly smaller than the head on the polished metal knockdown. This is about as small as you can go on metal. So we can get a little bit tighter of a knockdown with nylon, like a little bit more pinpoint without damaging the paint. This, however, drives harder than drives harder than the plastic or nylon will. This will actually mushroom and give a little bit. There's no give here, so you can drive down more. On metal like aluminum that's super rigid, this will make your knockdown life a whole lot easier. Also, like you saw here on that big high spot, the metal knockdown, because it's such a concentrated tap, will let you work a little bit more slowly and controlled. So on the GPR side of things in a body shop, You definitely want this for aluminum. On the more PDR side, the steel gives you a lot more real finesse you can work with, even more so than we can get even with a sharp plastic knockdown like this. A lot of it is preference, I suppose, right? There's more than one way to skin a cat. However, I can do real precise stuff with this. I can do real hard stuff with this. And hitting this that hard like on aluminum will just make it want to mushroom out and or crack or break. So let's jump here and give this a pull real quick for our little hail dent. Over pulled a little bit. I want to give you a little high spot so we can show you how simple it is. There we go. Let me adjust that light a little bit. Give it just that tiny little high spot right there. If we want to come in, nice, quick, and easy, right with our Black Swan, right on top of that light to dark transition. I can see it come in, and I can tap and check, nice and easy, no skip at all. Just a tick high. And not a paintless repair. That's not what we were going for. Right there, a totally blockable repair. And really, it was blockable the first pull. The second one was to show you the high spot a little bit. And that's it. So before we wrap up, we'll go back over our knockdowns. We've got the Black Swan. This takes the learning curve out of like a PDR style knockdown and just throws it completely out of the door. You saw me use that. Also, it comes with the interchangeable heads. So I believe it comes with 5 different tips. And the new one is also polished on the end. This is an old one. The new one is polished right there. So 5 or 6 knockdowns in one. Absolutely no learning curve at all. I can teach anybody to use a knockdown like in a second. Right there. We've got, if you've got the black body hammer, you see this puck. That's not part of the handle. That's actually a hammer head for the knockdowns. So a simple knockdown hammer right there. Moving on up, we've got our regular PDR knockdowns, PDR style. So standalone, 3 different radiuses. I myself have the ice here. We also have the red, which is fire. What's up, Dan Rakiki, Justin Chamberlain? As well as the root beer, which is the hardest one. In the ice line, we have got one of my favorite knockdowns, this 4mm polished. You see that right on the face, right there, completely polished. Great for precision, small knockdowns, as well as really driving that aluminum home better than anything else I have found. Moving up from there, we've got our JVF hammer. You saw that even with this big face, we were able to knock down that big crease high spot super clean and super fast. This has an aluminum core in the body of the hammer, and it only weighs 100 grams. It's super light. It's really a touch piece. Driving it home at the end, of course, is our body hammer. It's got a great weight to it. It's just, you get it in your hand, and man, it's got a nice heavy weight to it. Comes with a plastic cover. We've worked that pretty hard. And also take it off, and it's got a semi-polished face. All of our tools are made to respect the paint and leave more of that factory paint on the car longer. And rounding it up from there, our slappers. So we've got the blue, which is nice and flexible, great for working big crowns, getting over contours of vehicles. And we've got the blue, which is significantly more rigid, great for getting into like 90-degree bends, in a door jamb, around an edge. You can use it here, you can use it flat. Super versatile tool. Guys, I think this was our biggest audience. Oh, get back here. Here we go. There we go. I think this is our biggest audience so far on one of these live streams. Keep them coming. Make sure you tell your friends about it. We'll be back next Friday, 12 Central, for our live stream. Send in a question. That's how we got to the knockdowns this week, is somebody wanted to know how we use our knockdowns, and more importantly, when you pull a crease, what does that look like to knock down? Guys, we're doing these streams for you to get us through these crazy times. If you've got questions, we're happy to answer it. Perfect. Dan just used some dead center tabs and glue pulled 99.8% of the damage. That is beautiful, Dan. That's what we like to hear. Guys, thank you so much. Stay safe and stay healthy. All of the links for our trainings, how you can get with me or get with Brock, get whatever you need, are in the description of this video. I will see you all next Friday at 12 Central. Have a great weekend. Thanks, guys.